welcome back to the Review of Death, a Doctor Who podcast, your fortnightly home for Doctor Who news and reviews. I am joined as ever by Billy Garrett John.
And I'm joined by Matthew Toffolo.
That's right, that's me. And today, what are we talking about?
Well, we're going to talk about two things today.
Yeah.
Welcome to the therapy session. We've had, nearly over 5 years to get over it.
Yes.
But we're finally here to talk about Class.
Yeah.
And we're also going to do Galaxy 4
Yeah.
as well. And talk about some pretty sad news, possibly sad news that has developed since we did Eve of the Daleks, our last review.
Yeah.
And that ties into one of the main review features for today. So BBC America have apparently pulled out of funding for future Doctor Who animated reconstructions.
Yes.
Which means that Abominable Snowmen, do we have a release date for that?
I keep seeing May mentioned,
Okay.
but I don't know how accurate that is.
Okay. Is it up for pre-order yet?
It is up for pre-order,
Okay.
yeah.
But they just haven't announced they must have announced a release date for it. That.
I don't know.
Whatever.
Well, you can pre-order it.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've pre-ordered it, which is pretty bad.
Yeah, I didn't do that for for this one, Galaxy 4, and for Web of Fear, which I still haven't bought.
Oh, I'm not buying Web of Fear.
I even
Have to pay me to buy that
don't
one.
want it. I even don't want it because I prefer the artwork for the
For the other
release that
Yeah.
came out. But
Yeah.
so yeah, Abominable Snowmen could be the last animated reconstruction. There has been a bit of an addendum to it all. I think it was in a Radio Times article. It was mentioned that there is a search on
Yes.
for a new funder
Yeah.
for these animations. But yeah, big blow when I saw it. I felt like, whoa, Jesus, that's annoying.
Yeah, I guess we'd sort of really gotten used to these releases being so regular. We took them for granted, I guess, a little bit. And especially the last couple of years, because we were getting like 2 or 3 a year. I mean, last year we had Evil of the Daleks, we had Web of Fear, and we had Galaxy 4. And I think we were all like, wow, if we get this every year, crikey, we're going to have no missing episodes left.
And also, I think a bit for granted because the last couple of ones that have come out people have moaned about them a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, Web of Fear being the main one.
Yeah.
And a little bit of kind of, for Galaxy 4 coming out, I think. Which I think was just down to the art style, wasn't it?
Yes,
for that?
I think so.
Which we'll come on to later. But I was kind of thinking, I wish I hadn't moaned so much about them now, because if that means that we're coming to the end of the line, I feel a bit of a dick for moaning about Web of Fear, no matter how, not like the other ones it looks like, if that's the most diplomatic way of putting it.
Yeah, I mean, I saw someone on Twitter say something akin to possibly that Web of Fear might have been done separately. So that might have been an internal sort of BBC Studios funded thing without BBC America's backing. So potentially, I guess...
They got the same animation team in for Daleks. It all makes sense.
Yeah. So potentially, I guess that could be something, if that could be refined, because obviously it did look like a bit of a dog's dinner.
I don't think it needs to be pursued. Because, rotoscoping is apparently quite a cheap way of animating.
Really?
I don't know. I mean, I've seen, whenever I see people talking about rotoscoping, it's always, that bit's been rotoscoped.
Yes.
And it's kind of like, is that not seen as like a good thing in like the industry or whatever?
I don't know.
I've always seen people moaning about
Rotoscoping.
obvious rotoscoping.
Oh, right, fair enough.
So, trying to then directly mimic actions.
Yeah.
It wasn't mocapped, was it? It
surely
couldn't have been mocapped.
It was mocapped.
By people in full body casts.
Yeah, I think so. People who had lost use of their limbs.
Let's stop moaning about it now. Because again, we might be losing them forever.
Yeah.
We're sorry.
This could be all we get. We could be getting Marco Polo, all 7 episodes, like a Roblox animation going, oh.
After having just said it's annoying that we've been moaning about them and now we're losing them, having just moaned about them.
That is what the Review of Death is all about. We can't help ourselves.
it's a channel for moaning. Really disappointing to hear that a key investor has dropped out, especially one so obviously tied to the BBC.
Yes.
I wonder what it was. Was it that they were promised a certain number of sales?
Yeah.
Or a certain threshold of money that it had to pass for them to continue investing in like the next round of them?
Yeah.
And it didn't happen? I wonder really, as you get more into the episodes without Daleks on the cover.
Yeah, that's also another...
That is going to cause it's not like it's going to go on and on and on.
Yeah.
And they're going to get better and better. We're going to get to stories that people are less likely to buy as we go on.
Yeah.
So
I mean, like Galaxy 4, really, for all the goodwill in the world, Galaxy 4, it ain't one of the best or most renowned stories out there.
And yeah, it's not.
I think really obviously they needed to do a cheap Hartnell.
And I was going to say, so is that why they chuck the slightly more affordable looking animation at it?
I think so, because they save all the budget for the big stories.
For the ones with Daleks in them.
For the ones with Daleks. Again, Abominable Snowmen, the trailer for that looks fantastic.
It does.
So obviously they were like, well, this is it's an important story.
A recognisable monster.
Exactly. So, yeah, it makes sense. I think, you just have to sort of grin and bear that sort of thing. And I don't chastise them for doing that. I think that's fair enough. And I mean, it makes sense for the Web of Fear, Do you go all out for one episode?
Yeah.
Not really. It probably makes more sense to do something a bit cheaper.
Or, as we'll get to in a bit, the Mission to the Unknown.
Well, the Mission to the Unknown
Suddenly pops up at the end of Galaxy 4.
I
was not expecting it.
Yeah.
And it was like, we've seen a little bit of an episode we'll probably never see animated now.
Do you like this? Well, tough luck.
Well, we don't need it animated because we have the
studio
reconstruction, so
we do,
that's ticked off the list.
Yeah.
So disappointing, but I really think with that new sort of development that they are seeking a new investor for the animations. I think really we just have to wait and see, because I think the likelihood is that more probably will come out.
Yeah, I mean, obviously for the BBC, it's a money maker. I mean, it probably doesn't make that much money, but I guess you've got to think about it long term, because.
Sorry, my microphone belt thing is just falling off, everybody.
Oh, see, I haven't clipped mine on at all.
This doesn't matter for the audio listeners, of course, but you can see me struggle and interrupt Matt's train of thought. Right,
yeah.
There we go.
Okay, you actually have interrupted my train of thought, because I can't
Sorry.
remember what I was saying. Yes, it's a long-term thing, isn't it, really? Because if you look at something like Season 3 of Doctor Who, I looked at the DVD shelf, and I think it's like 4 DVDs from that series. So it's Galaxy 4, The Ark, The War Machines, and possibly the Gunfighters. So those are the only 4 stories. So when you fast forward a few years to when you want to release the collection Season 3, those 4 stories, that's all you're getting.
Yeah.
And you can't really do much behind the scenes stuff because everybody's dead.
Lee Binding is going to have to work extra hard to make those covers look interesting.
Yeah,
How do you make a Chumberley look threatening?
Well, yeah, that. Oh
on
my
the
god,
artwork?
yeah. I mean, and that's it. Not only are people dead now, when we get to that point, who else is going to be gone?
Yeah.
This is the trouble. So, I bet for the BBC they were probably like, shit. We thought we were going to at least get, I don't know what the stories are in that season. The Myth Maker, Master Plan.
Yeah.
They must have thought, we're going to do Master Plan at some point.
Savages in that season as well, isn't it?
Yes, Savages is in that season. So they probably thought we had a few good ones in there.
I would imagine maybe, do we just get like 1 a year now? Because, I mean, I'd love to know when BBC America joined the funding for it. Did they put in a bit of money for Power of the Daleks?
I think so. I think
Right,
Power
okay. That might have been the first one.
Might have been the first one.
Maybe it was all tied in with like that Dad's Army animated reconstruction that happened as
Yeah,
well,
that was a
because
big
they
thing.
did one and
Yeah.
then it just kind of didn't happen. And you kind of feel like the Doctor Who ones are successful enough because in their own right people will buy them. Maybe they were like, well, let's invest into some more animations, and then they saw the margins for the Doctor. This is complete conjecture.
Yeah.
But you just think, how much money is it making for them to just think, let's not bother continuing?
And someone made a really good point. Like, BBC America almost sort of shot themselves in the foot with it, really, because it all came out in the UK first, and by the time it did air in BBC America, it was all out on DVD. People were getting them imported.
Why are you showing it on BBC
I mean,
America
who's
as well?
who's watching it?
Put it on in like the cartoon slot early morning.
Yeah.
Like 1 episode a day for a week.
Yeah.
For kids or something.
Yeah.
But like, why's the deal to show these animated reconstructions? That can't be of interest to many people in the States.
No, all 12
Yeah.
Doctor Who fans
Yeah.
in America that watch BBC America for that sort of stuff. Yeah, that is a bit weird. I mean, I've seen people suggest that maybe BritBox might be approached, because BritBox could potentially say, well, we'll have the premiere, first dibs on it, say we have it for a year.
Maybe they did the Dad's Army one.
BritBox. Yeah, maybe.
Because I'm sure that was on BritBox, the Dad's Army one. So
BritBox.
maybe that was...
Yeah, because BritBox do get the animations.
Yeah.
So I would be happy. I know it's a lot of money. I would be happy to subscribe to BritBox just to get the animations.
That would make me subscribe to BritBox.
Yeah, because we're Doctor Who fans, we like to do that sort of thing.
Yeah.
We'll chuck our money at stuff multiple times. How many times do we all own Revenge of the Cybermen or Spearhead from Space?
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
So come on.
I would do that. I would do that.
Yeah. If someone was to say, look, you either subscribe to BritBox and you can watch it on there for a year, and then it comes out on DVD with the special features later down the line, and then it comes out on the collection set with a bit of extra stuff again.
Cool. I would be very happy with that.
Yeah.
I'd do that. So yeah, there we go. That's a paused tragedy for the time being.
Isn't it, really?
We might come back to it at some point.
Yeah, and it's so annoying because we were one story away from a complete season 5.
I know.
It's that old Simpsons thing of no, he was one day away from retirement. We were one day away from season 5.
It's gutting because you don't just think about the individual releases, you think about the collection sets.
Yeah, that was it, isn't it?
How much does this bugger that up?
Yeah, God, I bet they were there thinking, go on, would you not just give us a bit of money just to do Wheel in Space? Go on, it's got Cybermen in it.
And how much of the Underwater Menace they appeared to have maybe finished or didn't finish or whatever.
Yeah. Oh God, can you imagine the Underwater Menace in that motion capture animation?
Well,
those fish people.
Let's get on to it. Let's talk some more animation.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Galaxy 4.
Sorry, did you say Galaxy Boar?
No, I said Galaxy 4,
Oh,
Matthew,
sorry.
But I can see why you may have made that mistake.
Galaxy 4 put me in a coma both times that I watched it.
Both times as in your previous watch of it and then this one?
Yeah, I rewatched it because we were doing this review.
I was going to say, I
to.
can't believe you watched this twice for one sitting or something.
No. So I watched it when it came out, and I thought, wow, this is a boring story. I'm sorry to people who like this story. And the funny thing is, I've listened to the audio before. Mm-hmm. I've watched the reconstruction before, and I've read the Target novelization. Mm-hmm. And at no time did I feel as bored as I did watching the animation. I've watched it in colour, I've watched it in black and white. For this, I watched it in black and white, and I watched it alongside the surviving clips and episodes.
Interesting.
And even then, I thought, now that I can see it properly with the actual actors moving about, this is so much better. And then about 10 minutes in, I was like...
Do you know what? I wonder if we did the same thing, because we're clawing for something to, get us over the line.
Yeah.
Because I watched the first 2 episodes in one sitting... the full colour animation.
Yeah.
Then I watched the surviving... I watched the surviving episode 3.
Right.
Then I watched a telesnap reconstruction, I think.
Okay.
No. Maybe I gave up halfway on the telesnap reconstruction. And then I watched the black and white, half of the black and white episode 4 animation. And... I think that's indicative of the fact that I was trying to find a way to enjoy it, maybe. Because, I'm talking about the story generally, I'm not talking about the animation. Because I think the animation is a separate thing. And actually, because the Roddies are coming up, and I don't want to give away any spoilers as to who won which award for which category.
Yeah.
But Galaxy 4 is in a category with 2 other animations that came out in 2021.
Yeah.
One of them has won.
Right.
And the other one is The Web of Fear. And I was really interested, having not seen Galaxy 4 while the results were coming in.
Right.
The animation.
Yeah.
I was like, is it really that bad? Because, I didn't feel that blown away by the trailers and the screenshots and all that sort of stuff and the promotional material. And also, I'm begging someone at BBC Studios to sort your covers out. Because I know you probably have to put the animation on the cover so that people don't get mistaken for it being a proper episode, like a recovered episode. But you can do some cool photo montages or something, or give the assets to a Lee Binding or a Tom Webster or something, and get them to do something with it. Yeah. Because that Faceless Ones cover, they're all the same. They're all the same. It's just action hero shot of the Doctor with villain next to them,
Yeah.
with a backdrop that's vaguely to do with the episode.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a shame, isn't it, really?
It's disappointing. I like the fact they get individual logos. I think that's quite cool.
That's cool.
Like a kind of Marvel thing.
Yeah. I like that.
Nice.
I mean, to be honest, it makes no difference to me because I
know.
put the slipcase in the cupboard and then fold the.
I do the same thing. But knowing that they're there on my shelf and they're weird-looking covers that I can't see still annoys me. So when I watched it, I went into it thinking people really are down on this. They're almost as down on it as they were for Web of Fear, and people had like a visceral negative reaction to that. And I watched it, and I don't really get why people have been so quiet on this. Like, people really seem to have not talked about it.
It did sort of come and go very quickly, especially after the hype of Evil of the Daleks. There was such a hubbub about that.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's a good story with Daleks in, so you're going to want to talk about it, and it looks amazing.
Yeah.
Like we said earlier, obviously the budget on this one was nowhere near the same as that, and the animation style reflects that, and that's no disrespect to the style of animation.
No.
There are a few shortfalls that I would like to talk about,
Yep.
but I think it's for what it is and for the type of story it is.
That's the thing, isn't it?
I don't think. You
definitely had to hire somebody at the start who's good at animating people walking.
That's it. It's a lot of
and
walking
standing.
And a lot of chatting.
And lying down.
Yeah.
Like, you've got to get one person who does people drawing down really well just to do Stephen.
Yeah. And I mean, full props to Gary Russell, because I think Gary directed
Was he in charge of this
one
as well?
I'm sure it was Gary's baby, this one. I really admire what he did with trying to make the planet feel like an actual planet rather than a studio space, and just trying to make everything go a bit bigger and give a bit more scale to the story.
But that's what the animations are best at.
Yeah.
It's actually making them feel like the space adventures that they're trying to show on screen back in 1965.
Exactly.
But can't do because it's 1965 and a TV studio.
Yeah, but I think with all the goodwill in the world, the story itself is very bare.
Yeah.
Now, there are some things in this that I actually rather like. I think that having all of the villains be women is very progressive for 1965 or whatever year it is. The idea that these things are monsters, but actually they're really nice, and you shouldn't judge a book by its cover. I mean, I know it's sort of old hat sort of storytelling, but I feel
sorry for the Rills because you face up to one.
Yeah.
Fuck me! And then it's like, hello. Oh, I'm really sorry. Sorry. You must get that all the time. Yeah, we do actually. It's quite upsetting.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't do wonders for our self-esteem.
Don't come in and see us because we will frighten you.
and then even the Doctor's like, yes, you were quite ugly, but I've got. He says I've gotten used to it now. That's almost worse.
Wow.
Anyway, go on.
But yeah, I mean, and actually, I think the Rills, especially when you watch them in that surviving episode, I mean, they all say like, "Oh, why can't I see you?" You can see them; they're right there.
Yeah.
They look amazing. They look really good for a 60s monster.
Yeah.
Someone has really gone to town with that design.
And I think that the cliffhanger to episode 2 is really good.
It's a really good one.
I suppose the thing that maybe interested me the most about that cliffhanger is that, that thing that horror movies do where it's like quiet, 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 bang. Yeah. Well, this whole story is quiet, quiet, quiet.
Yeah.
So when you actually get like a shriek,
you're
like, oh my God, something's happened. Because we could demonstrate the story quite easily here, really. There's a TARDIS that lands here.
Yeah.
There's a ship there and a ship there. They go to one ship and they're told the people in that ship are horrible and they want to kill us, right? And they go, oh, okay, all right then. Why are you acting so hostile to us? That's a bit weird. We're going to go and see what that place is like. And we'll leave one of them there just because we need you to do something. We'll go over here. Oh, you're all right. Okay. Oh, they're the baddies. And then the planet explodes.
Yeah.
That's the story.
Yeah. Diddle-dum. Next week, Mission to the Unknown.
Across 4 parts.
Yeah. It drags. It really drags.
You can see it all coming a mile off as well. It's obviously these are the baddies. There's probably some misunderstanding or some hostility towards them because they are unlike us. you know, that kind of analogy.
Yeah.
And that's it. It would be great if it was like The Rescue and it was
just a two-parter. I totally agree.
That'd be great.
You could cut this down and it would be fine. I watched it the first time with Jonathan, my brother, for those new listeners, and he was just like, God, this is probably one of the most boring Doctor Who's I've ever watched. I thought, wow, it really is. But, and I thought watching it the second time around, I thought, oh, I might be in a better headspace.
Yeah.
And it still put me to sleep.
It didn't, like, nothing happened in it that, like, offended me, though. Or
no.
like, you know, not offended, but, you know, like, in a Doctor Who fan sense, where you're like, oh, that's...
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And, like, conversely, I'm still working through season 17 at the moment. And, you know, this is boring, Galaxy 4, but I would rather... I don't know if I'd rather have that boringness, but, like, in terms of offending me, you know, I get more annoyed at Tom Baker doing the bloody, or reading Peter Rabbit with K9. Because I was like, ugh, this is just...
Yeah, you had a moan about K9 on Twitter the other day.
I did have a moan. I don't like Peter Brierley as K9. I'm so sorry.
No one does.
No, apparently not.
Apparently not.
A few people do. And that's fair enough, but I think... I watched some of the special features and Lala Ward was like, yeah, no one really took to
That's
him.
so
You know,
sad.
we all missed John Leeson. And I was like, oh, that is bad, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like even they felt it. But apparently he didn't even like come into the studio, or very rarely would he come in and like rehearse.
Well, then they also lost the dynamic. Well, they lost the dynamic in the studio then because John Leeson would go around on his hands and knees.
And that's exactly what she said. You know, she said he was K9 in voice and in person.
Yeah.
You know, he was part of the crew.
Yeah.
And then I guess the other guy just came in and, oh, hello, I'll do my K9 voice, mistress. Oh. Why is it?
You've got it out for David.
I'm so sorry.
So what were you said you had a couple of misgivings
about the animation.
Because I think we can park the story.
Yeah.
I've got a couple of things that may be worth saying.
Yeah.
But,
I like Marga. She's great.
She's great.
Yeah.
I've got the name of that actor on my phone.
Oh, I'm glad you do.
Yes. No, she was excellent and is probably the best part of it.
Yeah. She's a proper bloody loony.
Yeah.
She's a full-blown maniac. And
she reminded me of a couple of the Space Pirates, actually, in that kind of, like, laser-focused, you know, like, even if it's a suicide mission.
Yeah.
And just, like, rabid. I've got to get away from them, or I've just got to kill them. I've got to make sure that this happens.
Yeah.
Like, she's really quite vicious.
It's really good. And I loved that bit, the flashback sequence.
Yeah.
It looks great in the actual surviving episode, where the Dravin's like bleeding. It's really gory. She's got all that blood coming down her face.
Yeah.
And then she just comes in and blasts her. It's like, wow, that is really ruthless.
Stephanie Bidmead. No relation.
Stephanie Bidmead. Yeah, because I saw that and thought, oh, any relation to Chris.
The other, obviously, great part of the story are the Chumblies.
Do you like the Chumblies?
I like the Chumblies.
Oh, I can't stand the bloody
Really?
things. Yeah.
I like them.
I like that guy who wanted to kick K9. I'm like, oh, kick a bloody Chumbly.
I know. I like them.
You have a soft spot for the Chumblies?
I have a soft spot for them because they're just, you know, they're good-hearted, good-natured. You know, they're armed, but they're not gonna they're kind of like pet dogs.
Yeah.
You know, they're like, and I like the way as well that they are the Rill's kind of like way to get around and survey, and I like how cordial that whole. It's just quite nice to be on an alien planet and everyone's quite pleasant to each other for a bit. Yeah. And the Chumblies are there, and they're like, oh, they're quite like affectionate little creatures.
They've got the noises, like the way they communicate and stuff.
I'm sick of hearing those noises. Though I have to say, they repeat themselves. That boop, 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 that one constantly.
So I was thinking about this Chumbly.
Yeah.
And obviously Vicky turns around and says, oh, they've got a sort of a Chumbly movement.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, I have never ever heard anybody use the word Chumly to describe someone's movie. I've never heard the word Chumbly outside of Doctor Who.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, it must be a word, surely. So I had a look.
Oh.
So this is what I found. This is the definition for Chumbly. So William Elms, I really hope this is what he had in mind.
Yeah.
Receiving a blowjob while taking a shit. And just to use it in a sentence.
Yeah.
I got a Chumbly before class. Which we're going to be talking about in a minute.
Oh, that would have been a good segue.
That would have been a good segue.
Should have left that to the end. Wow, okay.
Oh, there's another one.
Oh God! What, another example of it being used?
No, another definition for chumbly.
Well, this might be alright.
The hard, evil, cork-like turd holding back pain. Holding back painful diarrhea. I had to go so bad I was nauseous, but that damn chumbly just wouldn't budge.
That is fucking foul, man. Don't read any more out. Don't get any of your
oh dear
language from the bloody Urban Dictionary.
I was hysterics when I read that. I know it's very schoolboy humour, but I thought I've got to save this for the podcast.
I love how much you fully lost it though. That was great. I don't really have much else to say about the story. Really.
Not after that.
After that. I will say that I think it's disappointing that the chumbly that escorts the Doctor and Vicky...
I can't hear that word.
I know.
Of that.
I'm just trying to move past this.
Okay, sorry.
I'm just trying to move past this. That the chumbly that escorts... Oh.
This is more entertaining than the 4 episodes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, dear.
Yeah. The chumbly that escorts the Doctor.
Call them something else.
That's what they're called. I'm not calling them anything else.
The little robot blokes.
The little robot blokes.
Yeah.
That escort the Doctor and Vicky and Stephen back to the TARDIS.
Yeah.
I'm quite sad that he dies at the end. Why doesn't he join them on board the TARDIS?
Yeah.
And because the Ril's just like, it will kill itself. It's like, oh, what? You don't have to come on board and serve us teas and stuff, or become our little K9.
It could have been a precursor to K9.
Yeah, and they would have sold as well. There were loads of merchandising opportunities coming out of this, because apparently it got as far as the Draven pistols and the guns that later turn up in Genesis.
Yep.
They were gonna pattern them as toys,
Wow.
and they did detailed drawings for the pattern office so they could sell them as toys.
That's really cool.
That could have been, and the Chumblies would have been great.
Chumblies would have been great because just the same rollerkin mechanic would have been perfect. RC Chumley, that'd be good.
That would be great.
That would be really good.
RC Chumley. Anyway, I will finish the Chumbley chat with this, which is, I think that the Chumblies get unfairly sort of lumped in with quarks and crotons and stuff as shit robots.
Yeah.
Because they're not your conventional robot, obviously. They're cute, and they're cute by their naming. The fact that they're not actually given a name, and that I love that bit where the Rill assimilates.
That's really cool.
Vicky's language, and then it just says, "Yeah, well, if you call them Chumblies, we'll call them Chumblies too."
Yeah.
I'd love to know what they're actually called.
Yeah.
Do you want to go into the Urban Dictionary and find a couple of more fucking blowjob references?
Maybe that's why. Maybe the Reels are like, oh. What do you call them? Chumblies? Oh, God.
I just got shown something really weird on my phone. Rimmed by a Rill.
Rimmed by a Rill? My God.
It gets puerile, more puerile every minute.
It is, it's getting bad. Oh, no.
The quarks are supposed to be threatening.
Yeah, but they got little...
and they're like,
fucking,
what is that? Come on, just kick it over. It's like a dustbin. But the Chumblies, they're supposed to be daft.
Yes.
So I don't think they should be, lumped in with all the crap 60s robots.
No.
I think that they absolutely deserve to be respected and admired and loved and liked.
Oh, fair enough. And one becomes the head of the Emperor Dalek.
Well, there we go.
Yeah.
That's a promotion.
It is, isn't it? Yeah.
I'll do my really, really quick pop culture thing, because I just want to be able to say that while this episode started, I Can't Get No Satisfaction by the Rolling Stones was number 1.
Oh, really?
That's pretty fucking cool.
That is good.
Notable films of the year: Sound of Music, Dr. Zhivago, and Thunderball.
Wow.
There you go. That's
Some
a good year.
Good films.
So we've now...
What video games came out?
Pong. Now I know that we've discussed Galaxy 4 as an episode. It's difficult to kind of say too much about it because we're not able to see the actual article itself. Mm-hmm. So let's talk about the animation a bit more. I was really glad that I watched it in a few different ways, doing the colour animation, then doing a bit of the photo recreation, the surviving episode 3, and then I watched the black and white animation for the last bit of episode 4. And I think that's the best way to view this story with this animation. Yeah. Because I think that because the money isn't there to do really detailed shading and stuff, everything looks really flat
I was gonna say the same thing.
With the colour palette, it just looks really flat. But actually, the black and white version does give it a bit more. It like picks out bits of the set a bit more, so it feels that there's more separation.
Yeah.
Because really, in those opening sequences where they're walking across the planet's surface, it does feel like a kind of side scroller.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's just walking and then foreground objects to give a false perspective.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really work as well as it probably should. But that's a budget issue.
Yeah.
So I think the best way to view this is probably black and white.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed the last sort of like, because it was the end of the story probably, but the last sort of like 15 minutes I spent with it in black and white.
You know, and I like that they did the stuff like the flashback of the ships attacking each other in space. You know, obviously they didn't do that in the real thing. That was an interesting way to break up what otherwise would have just been a shot of Marga chatting.
I know, but I like the creative license they take with it and stuff.
Yeah.
But part of me still thinks like, if there isn't a sound effect for it.
Yeah, that is the only issue.
Because especially when the ship launches as well.
Yeah.
Like there are probably ways of depicting that launch without being right underneath it, because the sound is obviously nothing like that. You probably should have done it from a distance, because it's quite a quiet sound of it launching.
Yeah.
So that sort of threw me out of it. I was like, oh, right, okay.
Yeah, that's the only issue.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder how they did that in the real thing. I guess it was just a shot of the three of them going, oh, there they are, they're off they go.
Exactly.
And I liked the fact that they made the Dravins like really tall. They sort of gave them like an Amazonian appearance. I thought, oh, that's cool. You know, that's an interesting creative flair.
Marga picking Stephen up off the floor by his neck was really cool. That was interesting.
Yeah.
And so that's the good part.
That's the good part. My key issue, I think everyone looks great. I think it makes sense that you've got the sorry, it's a chumley.
Shouldn't that be coming out the other end?
Oh no, well, I'm a bit backed up.
Oh, hell.
So I liked that all the Dravins looked the same, because you know they're supposed to be like clones, aren't they? Really, they're grown in test tubes or whatever. And I thought Vicky looked great. I thought Stephen looked great. The Chumleys looked good.
I don't know who they got in to play Stephen, but it definitely wasn't Peter Purvis.
Do you not think he looked
I don't think he looked anything like Peter Purvis.
But I take a real issue with William Hartnell.
Do you?
Because I don't think he looks anything like William Hartnell.
I think William Hartnell looks more like William Hartnell than Stephen does.
Do you?
Yeah.
See, whenever I watched William Hartnell come onto the screen, have you seen the musical of Scrooge from 1970?
No.
It's got the guy from Robots of Death in it, who's in lots of Doctor Who's.
Yeah.
I can't remember his name. He's a really good actor. But the guy who plays Scrooge is Albert Finney.
Oh, yeah.
And he looks the spitting image of William Hartnell in this cartoon.
Really?
Every time he turned up on screen, I just thought he was going to start breaking into song. They cocked up William Hartnell's costume.
Okay.
So
quite severely?
Well, yeah, it's weird. He's got... I don't know, it's fine on the cover, and I think Josh Snares mentioned this in his video, because I watched his video before I watched the animation, and I saw it, and I was like, what? That looks weird. And then he brought it up as well, and I was like, oh, so I'm not going mad.
What is it? It's like a...
So obviously we all know that Hartnell's got the little wingtip collar with the little French tie thing, but they've like given him a wingtip collar, and then like a white bow tie, and then this cravat thing, and it's like, well...
Right.
He never wore that,
Yeah.
first of all, and surely you have your rig that you work off of. Surely it doesn't take an awful lot of money for someone to go, oh, I'll just do that again.
Get rid of that bit. Yeah, it's weird.
It's like that's like a really annoying thing. It kept. I mean, I know it's pathetic, but it bugged me.
It buggered you, did it? It gave you a chumley.
It gave me a chumley. Give me a right bloody hard chumley.
That's wonderful. Okay, yeah. I think for me, the thing I struggled with the animation was just how static it felt.
Yeah.
But I think that watching it in black and white maybe helps that, because it maybe restricts your... Because obviously the vistas are very expansive on this planet, and I think that the trouble is it is so static, but you're filling up the entire frame with not much movement.
Yeah.
And that's the problem with the episode 2. It's it's not the most dynamic episode to show off your animation.
Yeah, you could have had, even if you had a bloody Pixar budget, it's still
you couldn't
gonna
do much to start
There's
it up.
not much you're going to be able to do with it.
No.
Not at all. Not unless you just go, oh, bugger it, we're going to have like a full-on battle of the Chumleys and the Dravins, which, doesn't really sort of happen anyway.
Exactly.
I think the creative liberties were needed to just give it a kick up the arse. But it's just not a great story in any capacity.
No. But I have to say, nice to have a William Hartnell story.
Nice to have a William Hartnell starring Albert Finney from Scrooge.
There we go.
Yeah.
He's up there with David Bradley as
he's
your favourite interpretations.
Yeah, we had another one.
Yeah.
We've got another
Albert
Doctor.
Finney.
We've got
Albert Finney in Scrooge as William Hartnell in the animation
of Galaxy 4. So all we need for him is to start going, life is good, life is fine, da 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 da. But
knob jokes, poo, and musical numbers.
Yeah.
Welcome to the review of
I like drinking the wine, and why not? Yeah.
We might need some wine because we're going to talk about...
I think I've already had it. I'm sure people are going to be saying in the comments, fucking hell, Matt's on one
He's
today.
on something.
I think this is the trouble. I've been working from home for so long, and I just see the same old bloody people.
Yeah.
That when I get to go out, it's like you've taken me out on a day trip. It's like we've let him out of the hospital
of the loony bin. Yeah. He's got to fraternise with some of the other inmates, and he started talking about you started talking about poo recently. It's really quite strange. We might need to talk to him about that. Anyway. Let's talk
talking
of poo and needing some stiff drinks to get us through it. Let's talk about Class. Now, Class is a weird one for us, I think, online. Because when it happened, it was kind of one of the first big Doctor Who things that got an immediate reaction from the internet. And really, the way that the Doctor Who fandom kind of looks in terms of people commenting on things online, on Twitter, on YouTube, hasn't moved on too much since then.
No.
But it was sort of the first big thing that people had a very visceral and clear reaction to.
And I think it's worth mentioning that this came at a time when Doctor Who wasn't on the air.
Yeah, exactly.
So there was a break in production for whatever reason.
Yeah.
So I guess this was like the only sort of Doctor Who news we had, really.
And I believe there was something that happened, because I was asking people, the lovely people on Twitter, for their thoughts on Class. And people were talking a lot about the announcement. And people were talking a lot about how the announcement was handled. And I think it's probably indicative of a wider conversation we need to have with how the whole of Class was handled.
Right.
Because I can't divorce the promotion of it from the show.
No.
And I think that it's important to acknowledge from the off, I think it's universally known now, really, that this was never a Doctor Who spin-off.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think enough time has passed for us to be able to say, this was never meant to be Doctor Who.
Yeah. It was a Patrick Ness vehicle.
Yeah.
About a school.
Yeah, I guess.
And then at some point somebody went, hang on, there's a show we produce next door.
Yeah.
We've not got much going on. Is it possible for us to crowbar a police box into an episode?
Yeah.
And then that got turned into, it's a spin-off of Doctor Who. It isn't really.
No.
And I think that's the problem, is it was never meant to be.
Yeah.
So it's not aimed at any Doctor Who fan.
No.
It's not aimed at the kids who are watching Doctor Who because it's slightly too edgy for a child Doctor Who audience.
Yeah.
And it's not aimed at the same people that watch Torchwood because it's not quite enough.
Yes.
It's not edgy enough.
Yeah.
So it's in that weird young adult bracket. But even then, it doesn't really fit in the sort of Maze Runner thing, because even that's tame compared to a lot of what happens in Class.
Class is quite violent.
Yeah.
And,
And
in the first
and-
episode,
Yeah.
a lot happens, and you're like, what the f?
Yeah.
Who is this for? I think the whole young adults thing is a really weird sort of...
I wouldn't even call this young adults.
Yeah, I think that's just like a weird age group anyway.
It's such a specific period in time, isn't it?
Because I think, honestly, most... I'm hardly indicative of every normal person on the planet, but far from it. But I never sort of thought, I never watched Skins. I guess Skins is like a young adult thing. I never watched that. I just went from Doctor Who to
that's
drama.
That is more of what it's trying to do, rather than like the obvious allusions people have made to it, like Buffy.
Yes.
It's nothing like Buffy.
No, it's
not for that crowd either.
It's not for that crowd. I mean, it has the makeup of Buffy, but it isn't quite there. I mean, I think the thing with Buffy is that there's a lot of humour and there's it's just good. Buffy's good. I think that's the trouble.
It's a higher quality program. It's made to a higher quality.
Yeah.
I think that Plagues class is this weird identity thing.
Yes.
Because the other part of the promotion that's worth talking about is, I really want to talk about it, is Classmates. Do you remember Classmates?
Oh, yeah. Now, what was that?
So Classmates was this thing where initially, so they shot the series.
Yes.
And then they were, they knew at that point, obviously, because it had been shot, that there were elements of Doctor Who from it, and it was going to become a Doctor Who vehicle.
Yeah.
And so then they started shooting stuff, press content and social media content with the main cast.
Right.
And they coined this hashtag. Classmates.
Yeah.
And there was a video that went round, and I did some videos on it on my channel at the time.
Oh, did you? Okay.
And there was some videos that went out where they were talking about the fans. Oh yeah, the fans. The fans are great, aren't they? The fans of
what fans?
The Classmates.
Oh.
The class. How great are they?
Well, I haven't heard yet.
That's the problem. So it basically decided that it had an audience and it gave a name to the fans before that anybody had even seen it. And they called them Classmates.
Right. This is all coming back to me now. It's all coming back to me now.
It's all coming back to me now. Following the first episode going out, the Classmates thing then ramped up a gear by involving people who commented on Doctor Who online.
Right.
So your DOMs.
Yeah.
There was something called Caroline in it. But I don't think really... Basically, apart from Dom, I don't think anybody who was involved in it does anything in the Doctor Who community anymore.
Right, okay.
Online, Twitter, YouTube sort of thing.
Why weren't we asked?
I don't know. And they basically would review Class that week.
Right.
Only the good bits.
Oh, okay.
I know that Dom did like a 20-minute video for this thing, and it was always going to get like cut down to 5.
Yeah.
But like, obviously, none of the criticisms were in it.
Yeah.
But it was like trying to pass it off like, oh no, these are like fans. These are like the fans that you watch on YouTube.
Right.
These are like the reviewers that you watch, and you recognise these people, and they think it's great. So you're in for a treat. And then it came out, and everybody. It had been rejected by everybody wholesale when it was first announced.
Yeah.
I think everybody just went, no.
Yeah.
No chance.
I wonder why. I wonder what it was about it that we all just went, ugh.
It fell off from the start.
I guess that's it, isn't it?
Like the fact that it wasn't actually a Doctor Who spin-off.
Yeah.
I think that was actually really obvious, but it was kind of like a low-lying frequency that was just being projected by it, like, this isn't what you think it is, or like this isn't actually a Doctor Who spin-off.
Yeah, and I guess one of the issues, immediately from the press announcement and as a programme as a whole, is that compared to something like Torchwood or Sarah Jane Adventures, all of those things had a much-loved, well-known character at the forefront of that programme.
They've been set up.
Yeah. And so like, oh, this is Torchwood. Captain Jack's doing it. Oh, cool. I like Captain Jack. I mean, obviously not anymore. But, at the time, I like Captain Jack.
Yeah.
Wow, okay. I'd like to see what happened to him. That was left on a cliffhanger. Wonder what he's been up to. Sarah Jane Smith. Oh, of course, everybody loves Sarah Jane Smith and K9. Holy shit. Yeah, I'm up for that. But then when you're confronted with, who the hell are these people?
Yeah.
And what's happened to Coal Hill School? Why is Coal Hill School suddenly some like modern polytechnic?
I think that's a massive giveaway.
College thing?
I think that's a massive giveaway that the development, enough of the show had been worked on without conversations happening in the Doctor Who production office about what bearing it was going to have on them and the reflections.
They were in it the season before, and it was like it was a school.
Exactly, that they haven't gone actually.
Yeah.
It needs to be more like this kind of a school. Like, we've got the location. If you guys want to shoot there, like we've got the location locked down. But no, obviously their production team had started, and because it wasn't a Doctor Who spin-off, they'd found a location, and then it suddenly had to have Coal Hill School signs made for it or whatever.
It's weird, because I guess it's like, it's the sixth form department.
It's become an academy, basically, hasn't it?
And it's just like, ugh, no.
Yeah.
No, get away.
And also that we don't have, I mean, apart from in the first episode, you get the Danny Pink engraving on the...
Oh, is he?
Yeah, so Danny Pink and Clara Oswald are referenced in it.
So we should point out that for this, we did not watch all 8 episodes because we're not sadists.
Yeah.
So, Billy, you watched the opening episode.
Yes.
And then you watched...
Episode 6, which is called Detained.
Which is what I watched.
Yeah.
Right.
I was going to say, okay.
Yeah. That's the one where they're all locked in the room.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you watched the finale, or I watched the finale.
You watched the finale.
I watched the finale. Fine. That's what we did.
Yeah.
So there we are.
So you've got a nice coverage, because I didn't get any further than night visiting.
Right.
Which I think is the episode where they have all these vines plugged into their back for some reason.
Right. There's one about flowers.
Yeah.
Or something. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That was it. I remember that.
So what do you remember from your initial? What was your initial reaction to actually seeing it after? Because it was a disaster publicity-wise from the start.
Yeah.
And I think
you mean
people
back in 2016?
Yeah, people had already really made their minds up about it. But let's give it a fair shot. Let's watch it. And I've watched this first episode more than some new series Doctor Who episodes.
Yeah, I mean,
to try and give it a go.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen the first episode twice. Yeah. I mean, I've watched all of Class.
Yeah.
So actually going...
Did you watch it all on first broadcast?
No.
No, okay.
No,
Subsequently.
I watched the first episode and I thought, that's crap, I'm not watching this anymore.
Yeah.
And then I subsequently saw people on Twitter say, this is crap, so don't bother watching it. So I didn't.
Yeah.
And then I thought, I don't know why, I don't know what possessed me to go and watch Class.
I think it's only fair because it's a Doctor Who product for a start.
I think it's probably that.
But also I think in order to criticise something, you have to fully sample it. And I feel like, you've watched all of it.
Yeah.
I've watched basically all of it. I haven't watched maybe 2 episodes of it.
Yeah.
So again, my assessment, you can judge my feelings towards it on that. If I've not quite got it right, then that's why.
And I mean, to be fair, I can only remember bits of the episodes that I watched once. But yeah, at the time, and even now, it's tonally all over the place, like we said. That first episode, you've got a boy who gets his leg cut off.
Ram, yeah.
Ram.
The jock.
The jock, yeah. This is the okay. Right, let's get into this. So let me get my notes out because this is one of the issues. Is it has all of the sort of token characters, and I mean when I went to watch the first episode I watched for this review was episode 6, which was Detained or Detention or whatever it's called. Yeah. My phone is a pile of poo-poo. I'm very sorry. My phone is a right chumley.
That's right. I've got their characters, I think.
Yeah, so I watched that episode forgetting everything that I'd seen before.
Yeah.
So I have got Ram, unlikable jock with one leg.
I've got Ram as the jock written down,
yeah.
With one leg.
Charlie the Prince, awkward, doesn't understand Earth.
Quirky outsider, I've got written down.
April, I've just put an ellipse and then gone, she's got a weird heart thing and a mum whose legs don't work and a dad who tried to kill her or something.
Yeah. I've got Wallflower.
Yeah, Wallflower, yeah. Tanya, I've just put nerd.
High achiever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then for Mateus, I've just put the Polish boyfriend.
Yeah. Gay.
Yeah. That's it. And I was like, wow. And I feel really sorry for the girl playing Tanya because she has really she's younger, isn't she? She's like 14 and they're all older. She's super clever.
Her story, so in the first episode, she starts on the first day and she's like 2 years ahead.
Yeah.
So she's done her GCSEs already and she's in the 6th form.
And in the episode that we watched, Detained, that is a big thing. It's like, you look at me like I'm a kid's sister and you're not really my friends and all this sort of stuff. And I feel very sorry for her because her character is just, I'm the nerdy one. With the mum who's like, oh no, you must do all your work.
Right.
What people would call the tiger mum.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's probably not a good term to use. But
I've never heard it before.
You've not heard that before. No. But it's that stereotype, and it's just like, oh wow, you really have nothing to work with. But
she does at the start.
Oh, does she?
Because you get the impression that she's going to lust after Ram.
Yeah.
Like the unattainable arsehole jock
Yeah.
is going to fall in love with the high-achieving nerd
Yeah.
who doesn't have any friends because she's an outsider because she's really smart and
Right.
is, plugged into her work by force and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But then that doesn't even happen because then suddenly Ram and April
they're
are
a
the
thing.
couple
Yeah,
and he's
yeah.
been madly in love with her since the start and she doesn't reciprocate it. So, like, what's Tanya left with?
Yeah, this is it.
Because April is sort of like got the hots for Charlie at the start. And then Charlie and Mateus obviously hit it off and they're the couple. So she's like, oh, okay, well. And then Ram's like, oh, I want to get with you.
Yeah.
And then I didn't watch the last episode, but does that even happen?
They don't get together properly. I mean, they've had sex and stuff.
Was that in an earlier episode?
In an earlier episode. So they've slept together.
Okay.
But for Tanya's character, all of the stuff that would be interesting for her happens in series 2, which obviously doesn't get made.
Right.
Because Tanya's mum gets murdered. Ram's dad gets murdered. Tanya's mum gets murdered. All in like the first 10 minutes of the finale. They all get killed by the Shadowkin. And I watched it and I was like, holy fuck, his dad just got murdered. And then her mum died and I was like, they must like do a button reset on this. But they don't.
Right.
And I was thinking, so this poor girl, Tanya, is like, right, these bastard fucking aliens have killed my mum. Mrs. Quill, I want you to teach me how to fight.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, okay, we've got some character development here.
Yeah.
So she is now her, and she's got 2 twin brothers. And it's like, wow, so she's now having to look after her family.
And how does that pay off then, her like, train me how to fight?
Well, Mrs. Quill does it like a bit of, oh, do this, do that. And then this really fucked me off. So you've got this is why it's bollocks. You've got these creatures, the Shadow King.
They're the baddies. They're the main baddies of the whole series.
They look great.
Yeah, they do actually.
They look really great, except for the king one, who's got like those really weird cartoony eyes. They look really, look really naff.
Yeah.
I mean, I get what they were trying to do, but it just looks like they've been painted on.
Yeah.
They look great. I can't understand a word he's saying because they've. And I'm like,
it's Bane era.
Yeah, I was like, I don't understand a word.
Yeah.
And they make a big deal of like, oh, they came to my planet, the planet of the Quills or whatever they're called, and they wiped them all out. They're so bad. They wiped them all out, and they're so vicious. They killed everybody. They cut his leg off. They killed my mum. They killed my mum.
They killed his girlfriend in the first episode.
They killed my girlfriend. But somehow, this 14-year-old girl who has no training whatsoever manages to like block and fight off these fucking things.
Sure.
And it's like, Mrs. Quill, I get it. You're a warrior. You're like an assassin. You know, you're a fighter. You're a school kid.
Yeah.
It would be the equivalent of me trying to fight off a man with a great big sword. I'm dead. I'm dead. I wouldn't even do it. I'd just be like, can I just run away?
Yeah.
It's so irritating. It's like, well, that is just ridiculous.
I think that the issue with the characters and the fact that your reaction to her being able to do that is so strong is they don't really give you anything to make them likable.
Yeah.
They're like, and because I watched the first episode and episode 6. By episode 6, they're still not like a unit. They still don't like each other.
Yeah.
So like the Doctor's whole thing at the end of the first episode, because Capaldi appears at the end of episode 1 and has quite a nice bit. His scene's probably the best part of the entire show.
Capaldi, this is the problem. When Capaldi turned up in that first episode, all I could think was, why am I not just watching Doctor Who?
Yeah.
And I think what this series needed was for episode 1 of Class not to be episode 1 of Class.
Yeah.
It needed to be an episode of Doctor Who.
Yeah.
With Clara teaching at Coal Hill School and the Doctor getting involved or whatever, and these students being the side characters in that one-off adventure.
Yeah.
And blah, 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 blah. Everything happens. All right, maybe Ram doesn't get his leg cut off, or maybe his girlfriend doesn't get shanked or whatever happens to her.
In Doctor Who, in a normal episode of Doctor
Can
Who.
you imagine that? All that blood on Ram's face. Oh, sorry about that, Ram. How's your leg? And then at the end be like, oh, well, I can't be kicking around here all day because I'm Doctor Who and I've got much better
Do that
things.
whole last scene.
Do that whole last thing.
Yeah.
Can you like hold the fort for a bit while me and Clara bugger off and go on better adventures than you're going to have?
Yeah.
And then you'd have been like, oh, okay, I know these characters. And at the end of the episode, it could have been, and if you enjoyed this episode, you might want to find out more about these characters in the spin-off coming later in the year, Class.
And the Class books that came out as well.
Class books, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Pulped on a mass scale, I'm sure. Yeah. So you've got to episode 6, and you think, well, I haven't had a setup with these characters before, so I don't really know them. I didn't take to them particularly well in the first episode because, fine, fair enough. You're getting to know each other as well. Like the characters are still, learning about each other and stuff.
Yeah.
But you get to episode 6 in an 8-part series, and they are still at square one in terms of their relationships. Like Mateus and Charlie are now a couple, and obviously they Ram confesses his feelings to April in episode 6.
Yeah.
But it's not like in Red Dwarf where nobody there actually really likes each other.
No.
Apart from Crichton and Lister.
Yeah.
Who have a weird relationship, mother-son relationship anyway. He hates Rimmer.
Yeah.
The cat is selfish and doesn't like anybody apart from himself.
No.
And Lister gets annoyed with the cat more often on screen than he's like spending time with him.
Yeah.
But you still find them in the sleeping quarters or in the midsection of Starbug playing cards.
Yeah.
You never get anything like this with these characters.
No.
Where they're in the common room and they're hanging out.
Yeah.
They're always moaning at each other.
Yeah.
Ram's always being really awful to everybody.
I hate Ram. He's a right ass.
Really annoying. He's really annoying character, which is frustrating because the guy who plays him is fine.
I've got to say, I think everyone in this series, I really hope... I know that the guy who played Charlie has gone on to bigger and better things because he was in a really good series called The Hunters on Amazon Prime. But I really hope that all the others go on to do other good things because they were all really good actors. I thought the girl who played Tanya was really good. I thought the girl who played April was really good. They're all really strong. It's just a shame that they're in this. And I think, funny thing, I walked past April when I was in London once. Might be with you. Were you with me? She was walking, I think, French bulldogs or something. Like little Frenchies.
Rings a bell.
Yeah, I think we were walking to the train station. I went, that was the girl from Class.
Oh.
Yeah.
I didn't spit at her feet. Crazy. It's a bizarre programme that obviously only has one series. So it was all of it went out on BBC Three. It was one of the first major sort of BBC Three projects where it went online only.
Yes.
I think it was one of the early kind of dramas.
Was that just before they ceased broadcasting?
I think they'd already ceased broadcasting by then.
Oh yes, it was going out late, wasn't it, on BBC One?
And then on BBC One it was going out at 11:05 or something.
Yeah, ridiculous o'clock. Who's watching that? I mean...
It was obviously to kill it though.
It was, yeah.
Because otherwise they would have given it a decent time slot. And I think that the idea for a lot of the stuff that's shot for the iPlayer or for BBC Three as it was then, obviously BBC Three is coming back to TV, but...
Not Class.
Not Class. Was that they all have to get a TV airing at some point. Within a year of it going on the iPlayer, it has to be on TV to kind of justify the expense as well.
So someone just went, fuck it, put it on late at night.
Yeah, because then it got moved as well, I think. It either moved a day or it got put on an hour or two later than it originally had. And the intention was clearly to kill it, because that's what stations do.
They Doctor Who 1989'd it,
yeah,
didn't they, really?
They moved it around the schedule so nobody could find it, and even the people who wanted to find it had to stay up really late for it.
Yeah.
So it wasn't even liked by the people who were making it, funding it, putting it out on their networks. I believe Patrick Ness had no experience as a screenwriter prior to doing Class.
Okay.
I think that his, what's the name of that movie he did? The movie adaptation of one of his books, A Monster Calls.
Oh yeah.
Is that it?
Yeah.
I don't know if that was written by him, but that's all I know him from Patrick Ness.
Yeah, that's what I know him from, really.
Yeah.
He's done some other bit. Oh no, he's done a film with Daisy Ridley and Tom Holland.
Okay.
But I've not seen it. And that's one of his books as well.
It's very of its time as well in its production.
Yeah.
Like the first episode, somebody's texting on their phone, Mrs. Quill goes up and takes it from them, and you see the text appear on screen when Sherlock, it would happen in Sherlock, and it was like, oh my God, it's that era of television. I did the other day I was watching...
That was really clever. I remember when that first happened, I was like, oh, that's really clever. And then everything
now it's so dated.
Yeah.
It's so dated. And I was watching Good Omens.
Right.
Because we tried to watch it a little while ago and didn't really get into it, but we thought we might as well finish it. And I was watching it, I thought, I bet every member of the crew on this worked on mid-2000s Doctor Who or 2010s Doctor Who.
Yeah.
And the credit at the end when it came up with Douglas McKinnon's name, I was like, there we go, excellent. And I just thought, there is a particular time in television that just looks like that.
Yeah.
And Good Omens looks like a BBC drama from 2014.
Right.
and this like radiates that as well. It's not doing anything different, like with the style and with the look, you know, with the way it's shot. It's a BBC drama.
Yeah.
And it's trying to be a million one different other things that it never asked to be to begin with.
Yeah. I will say, though, that for the episode 6, Detained...
Yeah, that's the one we both watched.
That we both watched. I actually quite enjoyed it. Because I think, as a concept, I think it works quite well. So the basic concept is that this meteor has come crashing into their classroom.
Through these tears.
Yeah.
They're called tears.
Yeah.
Right? They're basically like the...
Like the rift, isn't it?
yeah, all the things from Primeval, what are they called?
Oh, yeah.
Paradoxes or whatever they're called, yeah.
So it comes through, it zaps them away somewhere, and they're in prison with this entity, this consciousness of a prisoner who was a murderer, and basically, if you touch the meteorite, you spill all your deep dark secrets, and it basically just wants them all to kill each other. Yeah, it's a great. It's a
bit of like a cabin fever type.
Yeah, this is the cheap episode, isn't it? Basically, this is the episode where we don't have any budget. We'll just keep it all contained to one place.
Yeah.
And it works really well. And I actually think it's really well directed. Because it could be very boring. Yeah. But it tries to do a lot of clever things with. Shooting like through the windows and stuff, outside different angles.
There are some nice shots in it.
Yeah, and like when people are passing out, it tries to do some interesting camera movements.
Yeah, and when they're holding the rock, it has that thing where it like stabilizes on the face, and so the camera is constantly just moving around the face.
It's good. Yeah. They do some really good things in it, and again, I think performances are really strong.
Mateus, the guy who plays Mateus, especially
really
in that
good.
episode, I forget, is it Jordan Renzo?
Yeah.
In particular, I think is the strongest actor out of all of them.
He's excellent. It's just a shame that it, and I think really for watching the finale, a lot happens. So the episode that follows the one that we watched. Is all about Mrs. Quill.
Yeah, so at the beginning of Detained, Mrs. Quill goes off and has an adventure off screen. Yeah. Because when she comes back at the end of Detained, where we've been with the main kids cast for the whole time, she's got, her hair is different and she's got a scar down her eye. Yeah. So she's obviously been up to stuff off screen. Yeah. So the next time trailer indicates that you see her side of that day.
And I can't really remember the episode, but it's all her-centric, and for the whole thing, for the whole series, she is the sort of like the bodyguard for Charlie, isn't she?
Yes. So
reluctantly, though.
Yeah, she is his protector because he was a prince. Yeah. And she was a slave to him as well. They keep mentioning that. Yeah. They mention that a lot. That happens as well. Sorry to go off track, but they're still explaining the plot. They're still explaining the setup by the end of the series. Yeah. It's like, go move on. Yeah. Like we get it. Like we get that you were his bodyguard and he was a prince and you're the jock, and like we get it. Like move on from all this stuff now.
So she has this thing in her head which stops her from being able to kill or use a weapon. But she gouges it out of her head in that episode. So by the time we get to the finale, she is now able to kill things and be a general badass. Yeah. And she's also pregnant. I can't remember what happens there. She's up the duff. I can't remember what happened. I think she slept with some bloke. But there's this whole thing about the Quills, which is their race, that the babies like eat their way out of the mothers or something. So I don't know how that was all going to pan out in series 2. But the way...
How would you direct that scene for Big Finish?
Yeah, but the way...
Can you scream more, please?
But the way that it all ends as the series...
Oh, yeah.
It's all on a big cliffhanger. So you have the Weeping Angels turn up right at the end. There's this whole thing about the governors who are like this... The governors of the school, but they're this weird sort of secret organisation.
Cabal, yeah.
So we don't know what that's all about, but they were connected to the angels. Yeah. Then you have April, whose heart was being shared with the king of the Shadowkin. Yes. For whatever reason. Yeah. When Charlie finally, he has this box. He's got this box with all the souls of all the people of his race.
And so he's taken this from his planet. Yeah. And I seem to remember in the first episode they're like talking about it, and he says that there's not any souls aren't in there anymore.
Yeah, but there
are things in there.
Yeah. And then they sort of find out later on, and they know that he could open up this cabinet, and the souls of his people could basically wipe out all the Shadowkin. Right. And so it's a whole dichotomy because all of their relatives, the kids, are either being murdered or they are about to be killed. And they're like, you're going to have to use it. You're going to have to use it. And Mateus is like, no, don't do it. You're not a murderer.
Yeah.
Like my Polish accent. And he does it, and he kills the Shadowkin. And you think, oh Christ, well, April's sharing a heart with the Shadow King, and so she's dead.
Yeah.
And they're literally side by side on the floor. And then the last shot is the Shadow King sits up, and they're all like, fuck me, he's alive. But speaks with April's voice.
Right.
And you're like, oh my God.
It's quite a good cliffhanger.
And it's a really good cliffhanger. And I remember I watched it the other day and I was like, I actually want to know what's going on. I want to know what's going on with the angels. I want to know what's going on with Mrs. Quill's baby bump. And I want to know what's going on with April.
I can see that turning into like a kind of, what's the name of Dave Bautista's character in Guardians of the Galaxy? I can see it turning into a bit of a Guardians of the Galaxy type thing. Yeah. This big, lumbering
thing,
but it's actually got the personality of this girl.
16-year-old or whatever she is.
That's quite neat.
Yeah. I don't know how long you would sustain that.
Yeah.
It'd probably just be for like the first episode or something.
I'm glad that you did take something positive away from it, really, because I did get to the end of Detained, and I'm glad that I picked that story because I would have picked something that was a bit more central to the middle of the series, but there was a two-parter.
There's a two-parter
just before it, so this is kind of the only standalone, which ironically does also lead into a second part.
Yeah, but this is a really good one because everyone is contained, and you really get to see
the characters. Yeah. So it's not like I don't like this character because I've only seen the first 2 episodes. Like, we got a character-centric story.
Yeah,
and it's tricky. I have so much. I don't know what word to use, really. I've got so much built-up frustration about this show because of the way that it tried to carry itself off. Yeah. It thought it could get away with, we're a Doctor Who show, we've already got a fan base, this is going to be great, you're going to eat this up, this is grand. Yeah. And then it comes out and people go, no. Yeah. I'm glad...
It took it for granted, didn't it?
It did, it absolutely did. I'm glad, having come back to it, that I watched it on its own, in isolation. I didn't really consider it to be connected to Doctor Who. Yeah. And I think that really, when you get to episode 6, Doctor Who has nothing to do with this show anymore. Yeah. The only thing that I could think of beyond the reference to Danny Pink and Clara Oswald, Capaldi being in the first episode, and Weeping Angels appearing in the last episode, is they say that we're not even in space and time. Right. And I kind of thought, that might be a script editor saying Doctor Who copyrights it space and time rather than time and space. Could you swap those two around for us, please? Because when they said it, I was like, oh, Doctor Who. Yeah. And then I think it might be wishful thinking on my part, but there might be a McCoy reference in the title sequence.
Yeah, really?
When the class logo turns up, there's like a purple spiral nebula in the background. Yeah. And I was like, I'll take anything at this point, honestly. So watching it in isolation, it's a bad show, but at least I was able to divorce it from Doctor Who, and I was able to enjoy it at face value. Yeah. But there isn't really much to enjoy there. Yeah. When you take it on its own, away from Doctor Who.
I think my issue with it is, especially as a Doctor Who show, and I think Torchwood Series 1 was also very guilty of doing this. Yeah. It was a bit po-faced. It takes itself a little bit too seriously. And I think when you get to sort of Series 2 and like the latter part of Series 1 of Torchwood, the characters are starting to... They've all gelled a bit more, and it's like, oh, we can have a bit of humour in here.
I mean, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, when the blowfish pulls up at the traffic light, it's like immediately this is a different feeling show.
Exactly. And I think, just like with Doctor Who, Doctor Who, it needs to be scary, but you need the levity. Yeah. That's what makes it so popular. And I think if you're going to do a spin-off, it needs to have that same sort of flavour, to know that it's all in the same family.
But again, that's the problem, isn't it? That it doesn't
have that.
It doesn't have that because it was never going to be associated to Doctor Who. So why would it carry the hallmarks of it?
Exactly, yeah. So this is why it's so weird when like Ram's dad gets impaled through the chest, and you're like,
people don't just die like that.
And then this girl's mum just gets murdered. And I'm like, what is going on? This is why I was like, there's bound to be a reset button.
I know, but even in spin-off media like Torchwood, I know people die, but it's not usually the regulars, and not in the first series, and not so permanently. Like, they literally have things set up in the show that can bring people back.
Yeah.
Two of the bloody main characters are immortal.
Yeah.
And they've got this gauntlet that can bring people back to life.
Yeah.
So that they can give you exposition after they've died.
Yeah.
Every bloody police procedural crime show should have one of those. It'd be really useful. But yeah, that has Doctor Who at the core of it still.
Yes.
Like, I feel like it's still made that if a child accidentally switched it on, it might have a bit of a spirit of Doctor Who in it, just on a glance. But this doesn't.
No.
And that's why it's so difficult to view it as part of the Doctor Who family, and why it's always sort of like over there. Whenever you list spin-offs, the Australian K9 series is obviously, because it's got a main character as identifiable as K9, is the more identifiable Doctor Who spin-off.
Yeah. Yeah, well, yeah, it is.
So it just kind of leaves this just like, is it really Doctor Who?
That's it, isn't it? And like I said, honestly, although I don't like it, I can see the potential in it. And that's what annoys me.
I was thinking, I'd actually quite like to hear the episode they did for Big Finish with the Remembrance Dalek.
Apparently that's really good.
Because it's that kind of thing that it kind of needed to have from the start.
Yeah.
And again, because that is a sort of a silly idea. It's like this Dalek has been down there the entire time, I guess is the inference.
Yeah, I don't know how it works.
But like this Remembrance Dalek comes back and
Could you imagine that? That would have been
That'd
freaking
been cool.
great. As
That'd
an
been great.
episode, like a mid-episode, there's a Dalek in the store.
Yeah,
It's been locked
but it's
in the
actually a
basement.
Remembrance Dalek.
Yeah.
Because that would
that'd
be weird and it would be kitsch and it would be like, at least it would be trying to do something.
Yeah.
But I just think it's so vanilla.
Yes.
But it's also trying to be like, yo, we're like deeper than the average thing.
Yeah.
It's not really.
No.
You know, you're a fantasy, you're a teen young adults fantasy series that has the Doctor Who logo underneath its logo. And that's it, really.
Yeah.
But I'm really glad we revisited it
Yeah,
because
me
I
too,
feel
actually.
like I've come away from it going like, I know more about what it's about.
Yes.
I know more of the vibe of it, and I feel less sort of anxious criticizing it because I feel like I've watched enough now.
Yeah, and honestly, if they were to announce a second series today or tomorrow, I think I'd be like, okay.
Well, let's see what happens.
Let's see what happens, because I genuinely did leave that episode thinking, wow, what a cliffhanger. So it is a shame. It's a pity the BBC couldn't have just given it like a little bit more time to grow. But clearly something about it.
It was always doomed to failure.
Yeah, it was always doomed to failure. And like scripts were being worked on for the second series. And yeah, I want to know what the Weeping Angels were all about. Like, how would that have worked?
Yeah.
It did make me laugh. I did see people on Twitter sort of saying stuff when Flux came out, like, oh, I wonder if they'll refer back to the class finale. No, of course they're not going to refer back to the class finale.
No, absolutely not. So yeah, I'm glad we've watched it. I will also say I think Blair Moat was one of the best things to come out of Class as well.
It's a stylish production. Obviously, I know it's of its time, but it is a really stylish production. It looks good,
and it sounds
great.
excellent. Like
Blair's music is fab.
Music is great, and I remember watching a video of him in the studio doing some stuff. And I just remember him sat there with a guitar and like a bunch of pedals.
Yeah.
And I kind of thought, if you're going to have like a modern day radiophonic workshop, it would kind of look like that. Because if you turn like 9 of these on, they're going to make a noise that you're not going to be able to replicate in nature or with anything, anything else in the studio. And I like the fact that it kind of was a bit experimental. It did sound a bit weird. And the theme tune is a banger.
The theme tune is a banger, and the sort of credits theme tune, which is like the proper theme. The proper yeah.
I thought you were going to do the whole thing again, like on the Instagram.
That's going to be the ending of the episode. It's just me doing the credits theme.
You'd be on your own in the room. I wouldn't be with you. I'd be left by then. Just to take you down memory lane for this one.
Okay, yeah.
So UK #1, Cold Water, Major Lazer featuring Justin Bieber. Apparently it was #1 for a long time. I don't remember that song at all.
I've never heard of it, and nor do I wish to.
UK box office #1 for that week that it started, I believe, was Girl on the Train.
Oh yeah, that's a good film.
It's an alright movie.
Yeah.
Video games for that year.
So what year is this? 2016?
Yes.
Oh, I don't know. A Call of Duty of some description, probably.
Well, it was Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. I think that's the one that got the most dislikes on any YouTube video ever.
Wow.
I think that because like it came out and people were like, yeah, no more.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I've not played it.
Pokemon Go.
Is that the year Pokemon Go came out?
That was the year of
My
Pokemon
God.
Go. That was the
Oh.
year of 6-year-olds stumbling upon corpses in fields because they were trying to find Magikarps.
Yeah. Wow. Now, I know exactly where I was when that all kicked off.
Well, you were making videos for it.
I was making videos for it. I'm having flashbacks being in Castle Park playing Pokemon Go. And
Did you have like an ash cap on as well,
I
or
had
something?
an ash cap. Oh Christ.
Wow.
Wow.
The Witcher 3, Uncharted 4, Overwatch, Dark Souls 3, and the one that broke my heart the most that year, No Man's Sky. I was so excited for that game to come out, and it was crap on release.
Disappointment that
Apparently it's fine now.
Oh, is it?
But I don't want to play it now.
No, I guess it. Once you've had the bad taste in your mouth.
I know. It's like Destiny.
Yeah.
It's just like, or a Chumbly.
Yeah, it's like, you've got a big chumbly.
In your mouth. There we go, everybody. Thanks very much for watching the review of Death this week.
Yeah.
Now, if you're watching this video or listening to this podcast on the day of release,
yes,
which will be Thursday, the 20th of January, the next day is Friday. Hooray! It's Friday. Hey. It's nearly the end of the week, but that would be your last day to vote in the Roddies, which will be the next video that Matt and I record together.
Yeah.
You've got a bunch of categories. Some of them, I won't go through all of them through with you, because I want to keep them as a surprise.
Right.
But some of the categories and the winners could be massive upsets and massive surprises.
Right.
And I think it's really interesting seeing the results come in. I feel like we've got a pretty good sort of like down the middle audience.
Yeah.
We've got people that are like on both sides of the fence, if you want to, make it that black and white. So it's been really interesting seeing the results coming in, because I'm definitely sensing that we're getting a massive broad church of Doctor Who fans voting on it. So if you haven't already voted, please do. I'm sure there'll be a link in the description down below.
Yeah.
Patreons as well, they have their own exclusive awards category. And share it with your friends as well. You've got until midnight on Friday night to get your votes in. Exciting. And then we're going to do a black tie award show.
Yes.
And I'm really going to go for it. We're going to look great.
Yeah.
And we're going to give out some awards for everything good in official on-screen Who and beyond in 2021. Yeah.
Fantastic. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, man.
It's going to be good. Well, thank you for watching. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.
Cool.